And hello, everybody. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson with a look at the nation's weather. Once again, we have developing storm system that's going to impact the nation as we head into the late weekend. And we'll have some areas with winter storm in the west coast, the central plains, the Great Lakes region, all expecting more wintry weather. Locally heavy rain, some more flooding rains making their way through, and a serious risk for severe thunderstorms, damaging wind, and even some tornadoes are in the offing. Let's get right to the latest and what you need to know with regards to this. First, let's take a gander at the national watches, warnings, and advisories that are in place across the nation. Now, first and foremost, we do have some systems making landfall in the Pacific Northwest, and as we look in the mountains outside of Seattle and Portland, from Snoqualmie Pass and on the way into Bend, Oregon, we have winter storm warnings that are in effect as we get into the day on your Thursday. So in the wee hours of the morning tomorrow, expecting to last into Friday morning, some wintry conditions. This will spread off to the west into the mountains of western Montana as well, from Missoula and Butte. And check this out near Jackson, Wyoming, and the western mountains of Wyoming, some heavy snow spreading there, and into Ogden, Utah as well. Mountains of California, once again, a chance for some significant snow. The purple counties that you see are winter weather advisories, including the mountains west of Denver and the ski resorts, possibly picking up some more much needed snow. If you're logging in, I'm a meteorologist. I've been doing broadcast meteorology for the last, 26 plus years, research meteorology 5 years before that, and I sure appreciate your input. So share it with me here, and if you have questions, please let me know. We do have a lot of weather to talk about, though, as we look across the nation. I'd love to see where you're from, and if you like the content of this video, put a like on this video. Sure, it does help me out. We have some wild weather heading into the central plains states as a low pressure system forms here. This is the same one that will kick off that tornado risk as we head through Thursday and Friday. It's going to bring another round of wintry weather to our neighbors in Nebraska. Check this out. The purple counties, again, winter weather advisories, Grand Island, that I-80 corridor right into Cheyenne. But Omaha, Sioux City, yet again, another winter storm warning in pink. Now, the yellow counties here still making up the minds at the National Weather Service offices, from Sioux Falls to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, all the way up to Oshkosh and Green Bay, and Chicago as well, there into northern Illinois. Those are winter storm watches, and those extend into northern reaches of the state of Michigan as well. So a lot of wintry weather is on its way as we go into the next few days. Now, check this out, and thank you all for the likes. I really see it. I appreciate it very much. Now, let's talk a little bit about that severe weather risk that I mentioned and the onset of the broadcast. And first and foremost, we got to let you know, as we go into the day on Thursday, we'll take a look at what the Storm Prediction Center experts have to say with regard to our risk for severe weather. Check out the deep south here. So where you see these green areas, we have marginal risk, and that's the dark green. The light green area is garden variety thunderstorms. No severe is expected in southern parts of Missouri, for the most part, into parts of, even Kentucky out there near Clarksville and Louisville, as well as western parts of Tennessee. But look at the yellow. That is a level 2 on a 5-level scale. And from Dallas and east portions of Texas, and also all the way through northern reaches of Louisiana, north of Baton Rouge, Jackson, Wyoming, all the way into Texarkana, we're expecting a risk for severe weather. This does include you folks in Arkansas, and look at where the cutoff is. So if you're in Pine Bluff, relatives, you'll want to make sure they're out there in Pine Bluff all the way to Little Rock. Make sure you know that there is a risk for some tornadoes. In fact, we could see some strong tornadoes and gusty straight line winds with the storms that form. What I want you to do is stay weather aware. If storms approach, know they could quickly become severe on Thursday and into the wee hours of the morning on Friday. And that means you want to have those precautions ready. You want to know what you can do to stay safe out there and be prepared for the possibility for things like power outages, like our last round of storms that we showed you. Woo-wee, that's no fun. All right, these storms will continue to work their way off to the east as we go into the day on Friday. And check this out now. This is going to be a look at the day 3. Now, as these storms work their way to the east, we could even see some nocturnal strong to severe storms. So keep that in mind when you're heading to bed. Have that weather information handy if storms approach in the deep hours of the overnight. And tune into your favorite source for severe weather information. Now, this is a look at Friday's risk. Again, the yellow areas here, slight risk of severe. That means a few severe storms, including those capable of damaging winds and tornadoes. And in this next step, this kind of, I don't know what color I would call that. It's kind of a pale, pukey looking orange, okay? In the pale, pukey orange from Atlanta, Georgia to Montgomery, Alabama, and near Birmingham, all the way into, well, out towards Augusta as well in Georgia, Columbia, South Carolina, all the way into near Charlotte. That area is a enhanced risk. And we could see, it doesn't look like a huge tornado outbreak, but we could see some strong tornadoes from these. And I'll highlight this text for you so you could read it with me. Again, there's an enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms from Friday afternoon into Friday evening in the area with that weird color of orange that I showed you there. That's southeast Alabama, much of Georgia, and the southern part of southern North Carolina. All in all, just be weather aware. Look at all the green boxes in there. There are active flood warnings and flash flood warnings across the region from the last round of storms, and these promise to be another whack of wet across the deep south. Now, Nashville, Tennessee, the fact that you are in the green here, what I want you to know is across the volunteer state, you could expect some very wet conditions with these showers and thunderstorms, and a couple of the storms may flirt with severe categories there. So keep that in mind. These storms will travel their way along the East Coast as they work their way through toward the weekend. And just look at all of the flood warnings across the nation. Let me show you the progress of the storms and a look at the forecast now as we slip through. And I do want to point out again, as a meteorologist, I want to give some perspective to what you're hearing online here. We don't know the exact track, particularly into the Friday time frame of where we're expecting the worst of the severe weather to be. This is a real broad area right now, and this will be refined as we go through. The farther out in time we go, the more difficulty our models tend to have with regards to being real accurate with the precise nature of where thunderstorms are expected to fire and things of that nature. Meanwhile, I'm going to go up here and go ahead and load up a model for you. And we're going to take a look at the model that goes through the regional forecast. And we'll take a look at one of these American models. And I'm going to turn off all of the watches, warnings, and advisories for you because there's just a lot of information on good old Hutch's weather maps right now. So we'll try to clean it up and make it just the forecast information for you. And here we go. Well, let me see. There we go. Let's turn those off too. Okay, so this model is just now coming in. I got to tell you, let's see if it's all the way in or not. We'll go with a look at that winter type precipitation so we can tell the difference between thunderstorms and snow. A national view. Here we go. Back up to the radar, and I'll clue you in on what we're looking at here. Couple things to keep in mind. Once again, as I just said, models tend to give us a little bit of a great guidance, and that's what I like to call them, model guidance. There's many models that we can choose from. This is a model that goes out a couple of days, and we can put it into motion here for you. And we'll show you the storm system that's now working its way through the West Coast as we head into the night hours tonight. Will continue to blossom with a wave making its way out of Calgary and Alberta and into the Central Plains. Notice quiet weather as we go towards the morning hours on your Thursday in the deep south. That's good. Now, Toronto, Detroit, you're going to have a round of snow to start your day, as well as the mountains of Colorado there. We're talking out not far from you folks in the Durango area, all the way into Flagstaff, where we get into the elevated terrain. More snow, can you believe it, for the desert Southwest and the mountains there. Not unusual, but it's been a wild few days of weather in that region. All right, we'll continue the motion of the radar here for you and future radar and show you the track of the storms. And here we go. Things start to blossom as we get into the nighttime hours in the deep south here. So from Memphis and in Kansas City and the deep south near Houston and East Texas, storms will be firing as we go through your Thursday night. Look at the ice potential. There could be a narrow band of icing. Keep in mind that this may shift. I've seen these shift 50 miles or more from model run to model run, so keep that in mind. Pay attention to your local meteorologists. They'll have a grasp on what the atmosphere looks like through the depth, because that's the critical key. What's the temperature below the cloud to find the ice line versus the blue, which is snow? But look at Omaha, Lincoln, Beatrice down there in the southern part of the state. If you're traveling the 29 corridor from Sioux City, be ready. As we go through the night tomorrow on Thursday, I expect some very wintry conditions and windy conditions as well. Meanwhile, snow wrapping up and continuing, I should say, in the mountains of Idaho, northern Idaho, western Montana. We're going to track the severe weather through the southern plains. Look at the hours of these storms working their way through. Boom, fire it up. Very heavy rain. St. Louis, the Mississippi River Valley, all the way through Pine Bluff. This is when you folks in Little Rock will need to keep your eyes on the weather as well as we head through the deep hours of the overnight. Those storms are no fun. Look how quickly they vacate, though, as that dry air behind it really sweeps in with the gusty winds behind it as well. Very strong straight line winds with the storm. Here we go. Now, is this when the severe storms will be in Atlanta? No. Birmingham, we may see a couple strong midday storms, but really the heating of the day is when we'll start to see that next wave, that day 3 forecast for severe weather that had the enhanced risk. And as we go into Friday, that's when we'll have that risk for seeing a couple of strong tornadoes per our friends at the Storm Prediction Center. Here is a look at the midday forecast. This is going to be for your day on the 12th, and you're going to notice that we'll have Green Bay, Oshkosh, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and points north picking up heavy snow. Another round for Rochester, Minnesota, and areas south of the Twin Cities, even Minneapolis picking up some heavy snow. This system here with the wind and snow could impact air travel across the nation's midsection. O'Hare, Minneapolis out there at the airport at MSP could see some slowdowns as well. So check with your airports before your flights. Continuing this forecast in motion, it looks like these model run is just coming in. That's how new it is. So essentially, the forecast for Friday is still a little bit coming in by the models, and we'll keep you updated on that. The bottom line is severe storms, gusty straight line winds, more flooding rains in the deep south, and the potential for some strong tornadoes from Jackson, Wyoming, right through Birmingham, Alabama, and into the Atlanta, Georgia area as we head into the day on Friday. So that's a look at that. Now, what's happened today across the nation? We'll end with that because, you know what has happened has been pretty critical and important too. Some storms delivering some punches of weather. Let's take a look at some storm reports from the National Weather Service with regards to well, let's look at all storm reports, shall we? And I'll go ahead and I'll have to take a look at this and zoom out so that you could see a little bit more of the map here than just the northern plains where Hutch lives. Well, we don't need to go that far out. How about we go with the U.S. view? These are all storm reports, so they're loading in. Give it just a bit of time. And this is the ones over the last 24 hours. And what you're going to start seeing is this populate here. And it's going to populate with different colors. Now, the purple ones are winter weather events, and the flooding is in orange. So the flooding rains and all of the flooding warnings that we saw from the deep south and southeastern United States through Georgia, through Alabama, and all the way up into the mountains of the Virginias. There have been some serious flooding impacts from the storms. And take a look at the snowfall amounts as we get up into New Hampshire and up into Maine in the last 24 hours as well. We're seeing amounts upwards of 11 inches in Conway, New Hampshire. As we look off into Vermont, we're seeing that we have many reports of 4 and 6 inches of snow. And taking a look at some of these snow reports, we can, well, let's coordinate them. Oh, we got 10.5 by Stoneham, Maine, and 11 inches for Lovell, Maine as well. And a lot of gusty winds, thunderstorm winds. Oceana, Virginia, 70 miles per hour. So a lot of damage from that. Look at Michigan, and as we draw into the Chicago and Great Lakes region, we have some snow reports there. Up by the UP there, we had snowfall reports of a couple of inches. Get down south near Flint, we had about 1 to 2 inches, and Lansing picking up some snow as well. How about Chicago, the greater Chicago area, picking up around 4 to 5 inches of snow in the last 24 hours. And that extends all the way down into Springfield, Missouri, 2 inches down there for those folks as they are getting a little bit of shovel trouble in Joplin as well. 7/10 of an inch. That'll keep you slip sliding away. And storm reports out to the west. How about the mountains of Colorado? West of Denver, we saw some good old-fashioned snow at the, well, Fool Creek Snowtell reading. And that is some good snow for the mountains west of Colorado. 5 miles west-southwest of Winter Park, they picked up, look at that, 9 inches of fresh winter goodness there. A lot of snow on the mountains as well as we look out into parts of Idaho. North of Boise, 15 inches of snow there. And can you believe, just outside of Portland here, check this out. Portland with 3 inches of snow, and you get outside of town, 4 inches of snow in the mountains there. And down to the south, just a little bit more. Boy, how about Sisters, Oregon? 15 inches of snow. The mountains of California had some healthy snow amounts too, with Weed picking up 10 inches of snow. Ah, that is serious shovel trouble. Southwest parts of Colorado near Telluride picking up 3 inches. So we've had some active weather across the nation over the last 24 hours. And we did a check of the power outage map yesterday. And here's a look at where we still have some impacts on the power outages across the nation. Check out the New York State area here. And as we do that, we could see that we definitely have, well, my puppy here is having a little bit of a problem, but upstate New York and New York itself, 50,000 plus customers still without power. The orange counties here have the highest numbers with 16,000 out in Jefferson County and Seneca County with approximately 10,000 customers without power. So with severe storms raging through the deep south, we'll have to keep our eyes on that potential as well. Okay, once again, to wrap up, and I'll check in on my puppy here who's having a little coughing fit, has a trachea issue. I appreciate all of your likes on the video, and thanks for joining me right now. I'm seeing that I love to know where people are watching from. It's really fun to see that. I have some locals here in the Northern Plains joining me from Grafton, North Dakota, Fargo, Moorhead. Nathan, thanks for joining. And how about Rebecca says they have kids in Nebraska, Arkansas, and Texas, and all of them are expecting cold as well. As a little bit of bonus coverage here, let's go ahead and take a look at another model product here, and that's the deep cold that's going to slam into my neck of the woods here. I'm in the Fargo Moorhead area, and when you look into Minneapolis and Fargo, we're going to get cold, and we see a shot like this almost all the time in the winter months. But check this out. How deep and how south will the cold wave blast? Let's check it out. As we go ahead and look at this European model, this one, this is looking at future radar. I'm going to switch it over to the temperature, but let's go wind chills. Okay, wind chill is not something that you hear often on the news down south, but you're going to hear a lot more about it here, and we're going to have some very cold temperatures as well. So while the storm track is going to be through the deep south, the Central Plains, and the Great Lakes, look at the cold air pool as we go through Friday morning, starting to pool up in Western Canada and Northern Canada. From the Northwest Territories with love, I like to say, Calgary, Alberta, sending us some cold air with wind chills down around 40 to 50 below, moving into northern Montana. You're talking Glacier National Park here, and here comes the cold. See the blue line here? That blue line indicates the freezing line. So the freezing air, and this is wind chill. The freezing wind chills make their way down into West Texas, North Texas, all of Oklahoma, and we'll have wind chills down in the single digits in places like Springfield, Missouri. That looks cold, and that's Friday morning as you're getting out the door at midday. Look at where Hutch is from up here in North Dakota. Boy, golly, oofta, we'll say up here. 46 below zero out there in, looks like Glendive, Montana. 44 below at Fort Peck, Montana. That's wind chill, folks, not air temperature. So when you combine how cold it feels on exposed skin, look at this. Now, I'm going to plot temperature too now as we take a look at this so you can see how far south the freezing line goes and when it gets there. Follow the dark blue line here, and that's the freezing line on this particular color chart. And you can see the cold air diving south, and as we start the day on Friday, the freezing air is in central and northern Texas. Okay, so if you're in the Frisco, Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth, and up into the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma, it looks very cold, while North Dakota will be sub-zero. Now look at that cold air spill into the Central Plains. So the freezing air makes its way into northern parts of Mississippi, northern parts possibly of Alabama, much of Tennessee, and here it goes. Now the deep south, southeastern part of the United States, as we go through Sunday night and into Monday morning, we're talking freezing temperatures possibly. This can change because it's a long ways out, but freezing temperatures possibly dipping in to the Peach State. Sunshine State might be a little bit spared, but it's going to be cold for you too down there in the panhandle of Florida as well. Taking you through this cold air mass sticks around like unwanted guests in the old guest house out there. Look at this. The eastern third, the eastern one half of the United States below zero, or excuse me, below freezing or below zero up in North Dakota into the following weekend, the 20th of the month of January. So we have some cold. It's going to take hold. Thank you very much for watching. Campbell, Minnesota, good to have you on, Christopher, as well as Sharon, North Dakota, Davenport, North Dakota, a lot of my locals here watching. And if you're watching from across the nation, I'd love to have you just chime in. Thanks for the likes on the video. I appreciate it. Again, I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Been doing broadcasting and broadcast meteorology for the better part of 30 years. I have taught meteorology meteorology at the college level for the better part of 20 years and have some research experience as well. It's fun to bring you the weather. I hope this was helpful. If so, give the video a like. Thank you very much for watching. Tune in again, and if you feel the need, subscribe to Hutch's Weather right here on YouTube and hit the little dingle bell there so you get a notification when Hutch is going live. Have a wonderful Wednesday night.